For decades, South Africans have found innovative ways of pulling their financial resources together for a rainy day. Whether it be for funerals, weddings, December holidays, or school fees, communities have created and sustained their own ways of saving outside of financial institutions that they have been excluded from. It is estimated that more than 40 billion rands may be in the hands of stokvels. But how can stokvels be integrated into the formal financial services sector, or should they be? And to explain the current varied stokvel options that we have and where they fit in, I'm with my guest, Mhlekazi Skenjana, who is the CEO of BSK Marketing and Associates, and Andile Ndhlovu of oGatsheni Properties, who's joining us from eThekwini in KZN. And Andile, a pleasure to have you with us from KZN. Welcome.
Oh, welcome.
And thank you very much. Let me start with Sis Busi here, who's with us in Joburg. I've suggested that, and I've read this, that there's more than 40 billion rands in the stokvel sector per year. Is that true? It's a huge amount of money.
It's probably more than that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that, I mean, the research that was conducted in 2012, I mean, that's the figure that is captured, but it's probably far more than that.
Yes.
You know, as you know, that there's different forms and variations of migalelwane megodiswane.
Yes.
You know, yeah. So it's quite a huge market segment.
And do we have a sense of how many groupings style themselves as stokvels in the country, or not really?
Again, according to the research that was conducted quite a while ago, it's estimated that there's about 800,000 groups. That translates to 11.2 million people. Yeah. So, and I have no doubt if we were to do, I mean, commission research now, would probably come up with higher figures than that. Yeah.
But what are the features of a stokvel? I may know, but I'm asking the question, you know, from the point of view of the viewer, and we've got a variety of them, because you've included, for instance, megodisano, and there are funeral schemes as well, and therefore different reasons they function differently. Yeah.
Look, I mean, the basics it's knowing, you know, each other as friends, as family, as neighbors. And I always say the key component is trust, you know, because you don't just walk down the street and just say, hey, you know, you meet people and say, let's form a stokvel. So there should be a relationship, and out of that relationship we say, okay, fine, we're ready, we trust, you know, one another, we are ready to actually put our money on the table, because that's the basic, you know, of starting or forming a stokvel, or rather even of joining a stokvel, you know. So you have to know people. That's why these stokvels that are online and, you know, global, so to speak, I mean, they don't cut it, you know, because it's a face-to-face, you know, kind of engagement. Even if you are not going to be meeting, you know, on a frequent basis, but departure point, you need to know.
And I'm asking that question because some people may wonder, why is it necessary to meet if you're a member of a stokvel? Why don't you pay your membership fees at a bank or something like that, or do online transfers without going to meet members of the same stokvel? Once
you've met, of course you can do online. You know, as I'm saying, departure point, you need to know these people, you know, because I call it the social capital component, in that, you know, it serves other purposes besides money. You know, like the burial club is a typical one. When there's death, I mean, surely who can bury your uncle online? You know, so there must be some people who will come in and say matsoho, you know, hands, you know, so that human interaction.
So there's
is
a
very
relationship thing,
definitely,
or social capital, as you mentioned, and trust as well.
And trust, definitely, yeah. Then once that has been established, is in place, then we can say, for practical reasons, we don't have to attend a meeting every month. You'll do your, you know, your electronic transfer of funds, but somewhere, somehow, at the end of the day, it's just that the frequency declines. Then you'll probably meet once every 3 months or once a year. You know, you do your online banking and exchanging money, but face-to-face interaction, knowing these people that you are in a stokvel, you know, and remember, you still have to have a conversation. Why are we in a stokvel? I know, I mean, people are, the most common one again is burial and groceries and property investment. But you need to have a conversation around the table, you know, and say, okay, this is what we want to achieve. It doesn't mean that you can't have that conversation online.
Yes.
It comes back again. I mean, even the business.
But it's personal. I know this is very social and personal. It's very important to say that. Then
Definitely.
it's not just a savings scheme. It's a stokvel.
It's a stokvel.
It's got to have that personal thing. You've got to connect.
Definitely.
One way or another.
Definitely. That's
but
true.
now, you know, as a way of mitigating risk, I suppose the membership fees and the subscriptions are much lower. But Andile, let me bring you in on this conversation, because you and your friends and colleagues are doing something much bigger. You are in a property type stokvel, I gather. Tell me more about oGatsheni.
Yeah, Tim, we are in the property stokvel. It's a new initiative that has gathered and measured two concepts that have been there for quite some time, from property investment clubs that has merged with the concept of the stokvel mechanism. So property stokvel, it's about people sharing the same common goal, mindset to set within the goal of property investment, development and acquisition.
Well, you know, how different are you from, let's say, timeshare? How does yours work compared to, let's say, a typical timeshare scheme?
Okay. Again, it gets to the culture that has been instilled for property stokvels. The mechanism are still instilled, so we are a stokvel that is gathering nationally. So our difference is we still have that touch of the culture, the traditions of the stokvel, where we come together, share ideas, besides being administered by oGatsheni as a whole.
How many members do you have, and how much do you need to join?
Members that we have, currently we have 500 members, and we have two segments. The first segment is the main one, that is the minimum of 3,500 membership that is paid. And then the other one is the youth one, which we call the youth stokvel, where members gather and for crowdfunding reasons to acquire property. So that one is from 300 Rand.
And so far you have acquired properties?
This year we have used this year as a capital generating exercise. So how the stokvel works, it's that people need to put their funds in the pool. And then once the pool has funds, then we'll then acquire properties.
What kind of properties are you looking at, and what is the point of acquiring properties? Is it to make money out of them, or to occupy, to own those properties?
It's all about the same vision. It's to make money out of them, but also to assist members that can't afford to pay for 20 years. So as a stokvel, we want to empower them by also using the same resources that oGatsheni Services provides to ordinary members. So they will get houses that they will own title deeds. So two different segments into one.
Well, obviously, we would wonder, when it comes to acquiring your own mortgage bond, for instance, compared to joining oGatsheni, what is the difference? What advantage or benefit would I get?
The difference, the difference here is that you have people within the same pool trying to or assist you in getting a house without going to financial institutions. So same mechanism of the stokvel, where members contribute money to assist one for a common purpose. But here, they are assisting you to get a house. So it's done within a term of 8 to 9 years.
All right, Sis Busi, you have a long experience in stokvels, right? And there are typical problems that may arise from time to time. But before we talk about the problems, your comment on this kind of stokvel, your experience with this kind of stokvels. So what is your view about the oGatsheni stokvel that we're talking about?
Look, in principle, I do support the property investment stokvel, and for one reason, that we have to go beyond just being, consumers promoting the basic commodities. I do have a problem, though, about going into this Property Stokvel, you know, at an entry point with just lots and lots of people that I don't have connectivity with, you know. As I'm saying, I do support the model. As a matter of interest, I do belong to one Stokvel that is in property. And the principle is the same. We started being 10. We went through the process of, you know, buying a property. It's call it syndicated, if you like, you know, registered as a company, because now there's an entity component of it. Because remember, Stokvels by nature are not legal entities.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you are to go into a property Stokvel, obviously there must be an identity, and that would be a company. Then you register as a company. Of course, there are no limitation how many you can be in a company. Yeah. So I do support the property investment Stokvel, and
but then you get governed by company laws and those
exactly. You get governed by company laws. You become a shareholder. You know, you go through the entire administration process. You know, and your contributions are guided by that. What you benefit out of that. So it has to be structured in such a way that, like any other company, if I'm a shareholder, I'm a shareholder. I've got a shareholder certificate. Then I don't have a problem with that. My issue would be if I'm a shareholder in this investment thing, but I don't have a document, you know, that gives me a recourse, you know, if things don't work well. So as long as everything is above board, whether we are 1,000 or 1 million, I don't have an issue.
Yeah.
But you
must be mindful of those fiduciary responsibilities, duties, and requirements of the law. So, Andile, how are you dealing with those things, or how have you taken care of these issues that have been raised here?
Those issues that have been raised, they are well cared for and catered for. Our members do have contracts that are in line with oGatsheni Architectural and Engineering Company that administers the Stokvel. So all members that are contributing towards the Stokvel are in contract with oGatsheni for oGatsheni to assist them with those services such as property management, property acquisition and development. So oGatsheni will be developing the houses, so they are liable for most of the things.
Okay, so you are directly involved in the development of those properties yourselves?
Indeed, indeed. So oGatsheni is involved within those.
Sisbusi, you know, talking about it, and it's this time of the year, a lot of people are going out to buy groceries, and others will be preparing for the new year to pay school fees for their children. But there are always issues somehow. People diligently would have paid their membership fees for 10 months, for 12 months, and come this time of the year, issues arise. What are the typical challenges that members face, whether it be on the side of the retailers or those they do business with, or amongst themselves? I know for sure there are two positions within Stokvel: chairman and treasurer.
Yay.
Hey, those two.
Yeah, and the secretary.
And the secretary as well.
Definitely.
Yes.
Actually, that's where the problem most of the time starts. You know, by these three people, the executive, most of the time they are the founders of the Stokvel, and they are the law unto themselves, because some of them, you know, and so there's no transparency. A simple thing, like for example, at the end of the year, we've all contributed, let's say, 10,000 rands, but for month one, none of us have seen a bank statement, you know, because the chairperson sometimes will tell you that, no, the bank statement is expensive. I mean, we know that there's a cost of pulling a bank statement, but surely in this day and era, there should be an easy way, you know, of saying, okay, at least bank statement cost us X amount, you know, just be transparent.
And it's not for one member to decide. After all, a chairman is still an ordinary member, notwithstanding the position, right?
Definitely,
but some chairpersons regard members as their members.
Definitely, you know, something like that. Exactly. So that happens. But I also blame Stokvel members as well. And I'm saying in some Stokvels, they just sit back and say, you are the chairperson. You know, we trust you. You know, you do whatever, almost whatever that you can do. And that in its own, I mean, it opens, I mean, you know, temptation to the executive now to, you know, to collude among themselves and say, you know what, chairman, you are going through a rough patch in your life. You can give yourself alone, you know. Come at the end of the year, chairman is not in a position to actually to replace, you know, that loan that he had actually taken in agreement with the other executive. So that's one of the basic problems that they have. And then another one is the hard cash, because unfortunately you still have stokvels that want to touch cash. Now they will assign the chairman and the secretary to go to the bank to go and withdraw this cash. Look, there's two things that are likely to happen. They may be robbed genuinely so, you know, or there could be inside information, so that money does not come back to the stokvel. Between the bank and where the money is supposed to be shared, the money disappears, you know, and that happens year in, year out. You know, this handling cash, the satisfaction that, you know, we've got cash in our hands, is one of the major problems.
So, on the side of the businesses that stokvels deal with, because especially the grocery stokvels and such related stokvels, there are issues there, right?
Yeah.
That you'd like to highlight. I mean, tell me, I'm told people deposit money with the businesses or the retailers, and they've got to put in this money throughout the year, and that money may be used to capitalize a business.
Definitely. Actually, for me, that's the sad part of the grocery stokvel type. You know, there's lots of them. And by the way, we need to acknowledge the fact that those stokvels serve a purpose, because people are able to buy groceries in bulk and be able to feed their families for a longer period. But a lot of unethical things, in my view, are happening, in a sense that they go and deposit this money at store X, and that money, obviously, it does not generate any interest for them. Then two, some of them down the line, they feel that I don't want to shop at store X, I would like to go and shop at store Y. And then they are literally bulldozed into actually shopping at this store. I mean, surely, Consumer Act should protect you to shop where you want to shop. And unfortunately, stokvels, because of, in my view, they just get intimidated by going through the normal banking system to go and save money for various reasons. There's FICA and all that. So they find it a bit easier to save their money at the store, you know, at the expense of forfeiting interest. Then come the end of the year, some of the stores where I've been personally, it is appalling the treatment that the stokvels that get. Once they've received that money, some of these store owners, you wouldn't treat, you know, even a dog, if I may use the word, you know.
Really? Somebody who's handing over cash.
Somebody who's
gets ill-treated in that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
These are the stokvels that have been supporting your store, not only by buying groceries, but by helping the store to actually generate this money, because I would imagine they're either investing it elsewhere or they're using that money to buy more stock. But at the end of the year, it is just disgusting at the least, you know, and I hope one day we'll have enough time to actually go deeper into that. And then there's one part, they call it is what, stokvel parties at the end of the year. Stokvels get invited to these parties because you are an important customer. And just imagine a classical example. You know, if I were to mention one of the retail stores where you and I buy clothes, then you get invited and say, Mr. Modise, we're inviting you today. It's a party because you've been supporting us. You expect, as an important customer, you're going to be catered for, at least get a glass of water when you arrive. And then some stokvels are being put in the warehouse, and then that's where you are being hosted as an important customer.
Obviously, as you said, we need time to talk about
Definitely.
that. But ultimately, stokvels do serve a purpose, and you think they need to be sustained going forward, or should they be brought into the formal financial services sector so we do away with some of the challenges? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. We have to now find ways of actually incorporating into the formal. But remember, we're living in a regulated financial services sector. It comes back to education. I think education is key. It's one thing to have this conversation, we're excited, we're emotional about it. Remember where stokvels, if you take the demographics of a stokvel, it's a grandmother, auntie, middle-lands, you know, people who from basic, you know, income, they manage to save, to accumulate this money, but they don't have the know-how in terms of just basic thing like financial administration. Even the way they save money, like wouldn't be talking about this grocery scenario, for example. So as soon as we get into the financial services sector, I think we need to be mindful in terms of developing.
And you run an academy anyway. If you want to understand more how to manage your affairs, you can go to the Stokvel Academy. Is that correct?
Definitely. In fact, the Stokvel Academy came about because of things that I've observed over a number of years, and said, look, stokvels, in my view, and I'm not going to beat about the bush, they are exploited not because they are stupid, because they just don't know better.
Yes.
You know, as I'm saying, a simple thing like even saving money. You know, we all know that banks have got different product offerings, but for some strange reason, Stokvel will take money that should be invested in a different product and put it in a product that is not yielding enough interest because they don't know. If
anything, they probably even lose money in the process.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
Funding things they shouldn't be funding.
Definitely.
Mrs. Kenjana, thank you very much. Andile Ndhlovu, let me give you the last word. So what do you recommend? To join you or go to the bank, and why?
Tim, you'd have to join me because we are providing people with opportunities to own title deeds at a lesser rate and at a lesser time period. I would agree, Stokvels need to be educated enough, and Stokvels are expanding, and it's a new dimension when it comes to Stokvels. We need to look at introducing technology into the Stokvels, managing transparency. Transparency is very, very important.
Andile Ndhlovu is president of oGatsheni Properties. Thank you very much. And Mrs. Kenjana, founder of Stokvel Academy, my guest here in Joburg. Thank you again, and good night to you.
Thank you.